is the show that started it all.
Home and Garden Television.
Have you heard? HGTV is spilling the beans with Grow It, a gardener's guide. Each week we travel to another beautiful garden and tell you their secrets.
Secrets you can use in your own garden.
Join host Jeff Cox and other leading experts for regional reports from around the country. Grow It, a gardener's guide. Tomorrow at 5:30 on HGTV Daytime. HGTV invites you to the most prestigious flower show in the world, the 1998 Chelsea Flower Show. Sunday at 5 Eastern on HGTV.
Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton, the house doctor. Well, welcome once again to the House Doctor, the show that helps you fix up your home or apartment. Now, in today's program, I'm going to show you how to restore that old, weather-beaten outdoor furniture. But first, when a viewer wrote asking for help in dealing with a very nasty leak under her front door, well, I paid her a house call.
Well, Ron, when it rains from this direction and it hits the door, the rain washes down and rolls underneath the door and then follows the grout line back to the hardwood floor.
Now, is this a hard rain when this happens, or?
It's any rain that comes at this direction and hits the door.
Okay. Well, this is Pat, and we're standing outside a set of French doors here at her house, and as you heard, she's got a real problem with water leaking underneath. So first of all, let's see if we can find out what the cause of that problem is, how that water's getting inside, and then come up with a solution. Well, the problem, I think, is right here in this threshold. Now, normally, this high ridge on a threshold right here should align with the bottom of the door. But as you can see in this case, it actually is offset by almost a full inch right here. So what's happening is the water is coming down the face of the door, going over this drip cap, hitting about right here, and then running back inside the house, especially if there's any wind blowing from this direction. And this vinyl seal right down here at the bottom of the door, as you can see, really is hardly even contacting this part of the threshold. So what we're going to have to do is take this threshold out and replace it. Now, I've done a little bit of research, and I found that there really is nothing I can go to the store and buy that's the right size and the right configuration. So what I'm going to have to do is have something made, and I've taken a little time to make a sketch up right here with the dimensions. I'll take this down to a local millwork or cabinet shop in the area here, give them this, and have them make up about a 6-foot length of this for us. Well, this is our new threshold right here. It came back from the millwork shop yesterday, and hopefully I've measured everything and this will fit properly. So what I want to do now is take out the old threshold. This is actually a 2-piece installation here. This small piece of trim molding was put on back here just to cover up the tile. Got that off. This is the main threshold right here. Now, this is a little bit atypical in that it looks to me like the threshold was put in first and then the door frame, so the door jamb here is actually trapping this threshold underneath, so I can't pry this out like I normally would, which means we're going to have to take a saw and cut through the center of this right here, and then hopefully we will be able to pry that loose. Okay, we've got this loose now. Now, you see what I'm saying right here? You see how this is up underneath the jamb? That is normally not the way it's done. I'm going to try to wiggle this out. There we go. Actually, it was even screwed in from the ends here. All right, nail, yeah, screwed in. So, anyway, now we're going to have to figure out how we're going to get the new jamb up underneath here. Now, this is polyester resin. It's actually a filler, and I've mixed up this hardener with it. I have a very short work time here, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. I'm going to apply this right down here at the bottom of this jamb. You see I put a scrap of wood in there already, so it would fill up some of the space. What I want to do here is fill up that gap in there because our new threshold, we're going to drop in from the top. I'm not going to put it up underneath the jamb like it was before. So I want this jamb to extend, as I said before, all the way down to the bottom here. It's been a little over 5 minutes now, and I've let this epoxy resin harden until it's just about the consistency of very hard rubber. You can see how easily it is, or how easily it's shaped when it's this consistency. If you let it go much longer, it gets very, very hard and a lot harder to shape and machine. And you can also take a knife like we'll use right here and cut the excess away, just like that. As you can see, we've restored our jam here now. We've taken away that undercut that was there previously. Now what we're going to do is cut the end of the threshold to sort of fit into this. Sometimes it's called a coping cut. All right, so come in here and take a look. I'll show you how we'll mark this. Now we'll want to cut this away right here at the rear edge of this stop. And we'll take a straight edge over here. This will be the exterior edge of the stop. Come in just a little bit more there. There we go. Draw ourselves a line here. All right, now let's see. Thickness of this stop is just about a ½ inch. So we'll measure in here ½ inch, give us a line right there. So right here, we'll be cutting out this area right in here. Here's this area that we're going to be cutting out right here. I think the best tool for me to use to remove that material is probably a jigsaw. Now, again, this is a little bit of an atypical installation right here, in that this tile is quite a bit higher by almost 3/8 of an inch than this subflooring right here. So I want to have this completely supported under here. So we put a new sill on, it's the same level. And to do that, I'm going to take some 1/4 inch plywood and just lay it in here. The only problem is the 1/4 inch plywood itself is not quite thick enough. It's shy by, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So to bring that up, cut some strips of roofing paper right here. These will act as shims. And I'm going to lay 2 or 3 of these down here, and I'll check this again until I get the top of that plywood flush or level with the top of this tile. All right, okay, that's about 4 layers of paper. We're perfectly flush right here. There's a little bit of variation because the tiles aren't exactly flat, but that's where I want it. Now, we're going to attach this down using about 1¼ inch ring shaped galvanized nail. And we'll space these every, 8 or 10 inches. Well, it's time to put our new threshold down. This is subfloor adhesive right here. I'm going to glue this threshold to the plywood we put down just a moment ago. All right, there we go. Now, also, I put a bead of silicone here on the front edge so no water can come in this way, and a bead of silicone back here on the tile. So if the floor is washed, no water is going to go up underneath that way. All right, now, notice the ends here, we've done all that cutting, notched it out so it'll fit into the jams here. And I had to cut that several times. It was more of a trial and error thing than anything else. We should have a nice snug fit now. Okay, and then I'm just going to press everything down, kind of squeeze out the excess adhesive, and see, in fact, I'm going to stand on this and press this into position. Now, even though the subfloor adhesive is going to do most of the holding, we're going to go ahead and nail this down. These are, again, galvanized nails. And then we're going to countersink these just below the surface. And I'll come back with some wood filler and fill that up. We're going to install some new door bottoms now, and there's a twofold reason for that. First of all, these bottoms have a rain diverter right here, and the purpose of that is to carry the water out away from the edge of the door. Pat, close the door, would you please, say? So the water will come down here, it'll be diverted out here to this part of the threshold. This is tapered now, and then it'll flow to the outside of the deck rather than inside. And secondly, there's this vinyl gasket or seal right down here, and that is going to make contact with this high part of the threshold right here. Together, that should give us a nice watertight fit on the bottom. So Pat, if you could close the door about right there, okay? Now, this requires about a ½ inch gap between the bottom of the door and the top of the threshold. So I think we're a little bit less than that. We are. So here's how I'm going to mark this so we get exactly a ½ inch. This is a compass, and I've set it up here, as you can see, with a ½ inch between the pencil and the point. And I'm going to lay the point on the top of the threshold here and draw it across this way, and that pencil line right there will be exactly 1/2 inch above the threshold. Now there's our line that we just drew. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit outside that line, then sort of finish this off with a power plane. Now Pat's putting a coat of paint on that freshly cut bottom. That'll keep any water from soaking up into the grain in the bottom of the door. And now we're ready to put on this final weather stripping right here. This is going to sit right on the door like so. Okay, and then we'll hold this in place or attach this with some stainless steel screws. Okay, Pat, that does it. I think we're ready now. I'd like to give this the old water test, all right?
Fine.
Now, Pat's son Alex is over here off camera. Alex, go ahead, turn the water on. Pat, just sort of play it back and forth up in here, okay? All the way. Soak it, yeah, a little bit more on this side. Okay. All right, good. Shut it off. Okay, Alex, turn the hose off if you would. Let this drip for just a second. Now let's look inside. Okay. Nice and dry.
Looks good.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Very
good. So, just a couple of things here, Pat. When this dries, give it a little sanding, all right?
Okay.
And then about 3 coats of spar varnish. Try to get one with an ultraviolet filter in it. Go to a marine supply place or something like that.
Okay.
And then maybe once a year, just give it a light scuff sanding and put another coat on, and you won't. That's all it'll take to maintain that. Then touch up the jams over here where we put the polyester resin in, and you're all set.
That's
great. Thank you for having us over.
Thank you.
It was a great project.
Thanks.
If this leaks when the rainy season comes, I'm going to give you my producer's number. You can call him 24 hours a day.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Next, learn how to give new life to your weather-worn outdoor furniture. And later, Kathleen Brenzel shows us how to patch those brown spots in your lawn. Have you ever wondered what makes a washing machine wash or a light bulb light? It's all on How's That Made? Tonight at 8:30 on HGTV.
Have a question about caring for your exterior wood? Cuprinol has the answer. For example, how should you prepare your deck before staining or sealing? Unless your deck is new, you need to clean the surface. First, remove all loose material. Then apply a deck cleaner like Cuprinol Revive Liquid Deck Wash to the entire surface. Rinse, let it dry. Now you're ready to stain or seal. For more information on Cuprinol heavy-duty wood care products, call 1-800-424-5837 because Cuprinol has the answer.
This is the show that started it all.
Home and Garden Television is proud to bring you This Old House Classics.
Classic craftsmanship.
Classic design.
Classic solutions.
These are the shows you know and love, with all the tips, advice, and charm of an original American masterpiece.
Everything you need to make your home a classic.
Preserving our history one old house at a time.
This Old House Classics. Tonight at 7 Eastern on HGTV, Home and Garden Television.
Heat and ultraviolet light can really take a toll on outdoor furniture like this. It leaves the wood looking dull, lifeless, and even chalky. So let's see what we can do to give some new life to this porch swing. This swing has been sitting out under a tree for a while. We've got some sap spots right here. You can tell because they're kind of sticky. So before we do any refinishing, I want to get these off. And to do that, I'm going to use a solvent, in this case, lacquer thinner. Now, acetone would also probably work well. Both of these shouldn't stain the wood, and they're going to dry very quickly. They're also strong enough to soften up that sap, okay? Got a little bit more than I need right there. We're just going to put this on some steel wool. This is some #1 steel wool. And the combination of that solvent and the abrasive action of this steel wool should remove that very quickly. There you go. We'll get rid of most of our sap. I guess maybe a little bit of discoloration left. We'll take care of that later on in the refinishing process. Now, if this swing had a coating on it, say varnish or polyurethane, and that coating was chipping or peeling off, we'd have to remove it entirely, and we'd want to use some kind of chemical stripper like one of these to do that. But that's not the case here. This probably had originally a very thin oil finish on here. It's virtually gone now. It's been disintegrated by the effects of the sun. So we've almost got raw wood right here. So we'll want to use a little bit different refinishing process for this. I'm going to treat this piece of furniture in somewhat the same way I might treat a deck. We're going to begin by giving it a good cleaning. And to do that, I'll be using this material right here. This is TSP, or trisodium phosphate. You can find this in any paint or hardware store. I want to put this in hot water. That should be enough. And we're going to mix it up with a brush. All right. And I'm going to apply this with a good stiff scrub brush. The idea here is the agitation from the brush plus the chemical itself, the detergent itself, will remove any of the accumulated dirt on here. I'm using a garden hose under high pressure now to rinse off that dirty trisodium phosphate water. Now you can see how much brighter this wood looks just from having been cleaned, but keep in mind this is wet right now, and as it dries it would become a little duller. Now this next step might be optional, but I'm going to try it here. It's called a wood brightening step. This material right here is called, if you go out to buy it, you'll see it in the package labeled wood bleach right here. But actually what it is oxalic acid. It comes in crystalline form like this, and it's a form of bleach, but really it's a color restorer. And we're going to dissolve this once again in very hot water. And I'm going to put, oh gosh, I'm going to put about a little over half of this container in here. I'm going to mix this up fairly strong. All right, and we're going to apply this the same way that we did the TSP. I like to always start at the top, by the way, and then work my way down. That, if there are any drips or runs, you sort of take care of those as you work your way toward the bottom. It's been about 5 or 10 minutes since we put this on. I'm rinsing it off right now, and you can tell what a dramatic difference this has made. All right, now, I'm going to let this dry thoroughly here in the sun, and then we'll come back and put on something to keep this looking in good shape. Well, the sun did a real good job of drying everything out for us here, and I've been doing some sanding. Now, one advantage of wetting wood and then sanding it is when wood gets wet, the fibers sort of stand up almost like whiskers, so that when you do sand, you cut those whiskers off very cleanly, and you get a very smooth surface. So if you want to do a especially nice sanding job, you can wet something before you sand it. Of course, that was just part of our process here. All right, this is 120 paper. As I'm sanding, I'm going always with the grain in this direction right here, never cross grain, because that would leave scratches. And we're just about ready now to start putting the finish on. Now this has come out a little, excuse me, a little bit lighter than I actually thought it would. So first of all, I want to see what this would look like with just a clear oil on it. This is some lacquer thinner here. You can use paint thinner. We're just going to put this on right down here. That'll sort of simulate what clear oil would be like. See that? That'll evaporate in just a moment here with the sun. That's still not going to be quite dark enough for me, so I'm going to apply a combination oil and stain, and to do that, I want to take this back inside because I don't want to have the sun beating on this directly as we're putting that on. As I mentioned earlier, we cleaned and prepared this the same way we would a deck. As a matter of fact, I'm going to seal it the same way I would a deck by using a deck stain sealer. When you think about it, this is going to be exposed to the same sun, the same water and weather as the deck, so why not treat it the same way? Now, this is essentially a linseed oil base here with a stain in it. It's a one-coat application. And I'm going to start by brushing this on. You can spray this on, you can roll it on. If you do that, you still want to work it in with a brush because this is what actually forces the stain into the pores of the wood. Okay, so we'll start here, and I'm going to do 2 or 3 slats here. Again, working this in, letting the wood soak up as much of this as it can. Now, the way this works is this soaks into the wood, into the pores, and eventually it will dry, but it forms a very, very thin film, unlike varnish. So that when it comes time to refinish this, all you've got to really do is give it a light sanding and recoat it. There's nothing to chip or peel off, all right? So there's our brush. Now let's come back with our rag. And here we just want to wipe off the excess stain, again forcing it into the wood, leaving us with a nice, smooth, consistent color. This last step is perhaps optional, but I really like it because if you do it, you'll end up with a finish that's probably better than the one that came on this originally. This is tung oil. It's made from the tung nut, and you can apply it with a soft cloth like this. Just rub it thoroughly into the wood, or what I like to do is just use my hand. This is where the term hand rub finish comes from. You're actually using your hand to rub the oil into the wood. Now, as far as maintenance goes, about every 1.5 to 2 years, we'll want to give this a light sanding or steel wooling and then re-oil it. That's about all it will take. So if you've got a piece of wooden furniture out in that backyard that you're not very happy with, well, now you've got a great way to make it look a lot better. Next, learn gardening secrets from Kathleen Brenzel.
Attention used car buyers. Bob Morris's Big Lot in Cleveland is having a $99 sale starting right now. Regardless of the type of car you want, $99 down delivers. That's right, $99 down whether you want a Ford, Chrysler, or GM product, and you can drive away today. Quality cars from $49.95 through current models with only a few thousand miles, all for only $99 down. Every day, more people buy a used car from Bob Morris's Big Lot, State Road at I-480.
In Cleveland. And don't forget to ask for my cookies.
It's a world unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's a blend of creativity, integrity, and spirit. It's a lifestyle that reflects an individual's sense of style. This is Harrison's new home collection in Rocky River, and it's open now. come enjoy grand opening savings at both Harrison Store in Lakewood and the new Home Collection store in Rocky River. This is where it all begins. After all, it is Harrison's, the last hidden treasure in home furnishings and interior design.
For my everyday paint colors and combinations, I didn't just pick the colors. I picked the colors that go with the colors you pick, and they're available at Sears and Kmart.
This is the Power Steamer Deep Cleaner from Bissell, and this is some very dirty carpet. Fortunately, the Power Steamer has Smart Mix to control the cleaning solution going in and an exclusive power brush to lift grimy particles out. So it not only gets the dirt out of your carpet, the Bissell Power Steamer gets the really deep down dirt. Life's messy. Clean it up.
We're here to demonstrate the new Weiserlock Powerbolt 3000 home access system, a fancy name for the lock on your front door. The difference is this handy remote. Easy and convenient. Powerbolt is easy to install and smart. It can open the garage door, turn your house lights off and on, and it tells you when your home is locked and secure. And with our patented Brilliance finish, it will last a lifetime. The Weiserlock Powerbolt 3000 home access system from a single remote.
Honey, is there any of that chicken cacciatore left?
Look in the freezer.
Hefty One Zip with the hefty slider that clicks closed for freshness. Hefty One Zip, the hefty duty food bag. Hefty One Zip with the hefty slider that clicks closed for freshness.
Little guy's got spunk.
Hefty One Zip, the hefty duty food bag.
Spreads like buttercream, covers like royal icing. My everyday paint colors and combinations make decorating a piece of cake, and they're available at Sears and at Kmart.
Here's Kathleen Brenzel, senior editor of Sunset Magazine, with some gardening tips.
If you have a lawn, you know that there are times when brown spots are going to develop. Usually, thatch is the cause. When thatch builds up, and thatch is this straw-like accumulation of plant parts that makes a mat so thick over your lawn soil that it chokes off moisture and nutrients, and they just can't get down to the plant roots. When that builds up, you can take action. What you need to do is patch your lawn. I'll show you how. The first thing you have to do is get rid of that thatch and loosen the soil. And to do that, I like to use a thatching rake. And that's this sharp-tined rake that has very sharp points on both sides. And you run it back and forth across the soil, and that cuts up the thatch and loosens the soil at the same time. After you have the soil good and broken up and that thatch nice and cut and carted away, then you can scatter the grass seed. Now, I've chosen a turf-type tall fescue, and I've mixed it with timed-release fertilizer. This is a good deep-rooted grass that's very suited to the West, but you can use a Kentucky bluegrass in cooler areas. Now, seeding is one way to patch a lawn. You can also use sod. But the nice thing about seed is it's inexpensive and it's fairly easy. The next thing is to cover those seeds with a thin layer of organic mulch. And I'm putting compost on there, and you just want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick, just enough to cover the seeds and the fertilizer. Then I'm going to walk on the place that I patched, walk on that soil so that you can press the seeds and the fertilizer down into the soil. Now, in order to keep that seed on the ground where you want it growing, rather than serving dinner for the birds, you need to cover it with bird netting. This is a plastic netting, very fine mesh that you can buy by the roll at nurseries. And get a piece that's big enough to cover your patch. Now, to keep that bird netting elevated so that the birds can't peck through it to get the seed, I've put stakes on all 4 sides of the patch. And I'm going to elevate the netting up over it. And finally, to get these seeds started, I'm going to mist them with a fine spray of water, just to get them started. Now, one thing you want to remember is to keep these watered until the seedlings come up, let them grow on. Don't even try to mow your lawn until it's at least 2.5 inches tall. Well, with just some careful patching like this, you can have a beautiful lawn again.
The ideas,
the solution,
the tools
definitely have the power to do this. So let's do it to it.
The fix.
9 Eastern on HGTV weekend mornings.
If you can do this, you can make wood beautiful with Minwax. And if you can do this, you can give wood lasting protection. Turning a house into a beautiful home is as easy as turning to Minwax. If you can do this, you can make wood beautiful with Minwax. And if you can do this, you can give wood lasting protection. Turning a house into a beautiful home is as easy as turning to Minwax.
I wanted an English garden in the living room. I wanted the kids to walk on eggshells in the dining room. But in the family room, sky's the limit. And I got it all at Sears.
For carpeting and flooring, Sears is just what you're looking for. Great selection, great service, and right now, a special sale. Sears has DuPont Stainmaster, Anso Crush Resistor, wear dated, and more. Durable, stain resistant, with installation warranted for as long as you own your home. And you know Sears will be there to back it up. We guarantee it. Plus, we offer flexible credit plans, too. Just ask our consultants. They'll help you get just what you want for every room in your home. After all, this isn't just carpeting. It's carpeting from Sears. Call now for your nearest Sears store. No billing payments or finance charge till April $15.99 with your Sears card.
And for the breakfast room, I wanted a strong, hearty oatmeal. And I got it.
You loved us, and we're back. The Giant Eagles Baby, Toddler, and Toy Fair at the IX Center October 9th through 11th. Learning, entertainment, and fun. Meet America's most creative mom. Get tips from child care experts. Sing along with Chad and Terry. Watch The Wizard of Oz. Meet Arthur, Hey Arnold, and Clifford. The Baby, Toddler, and Toy Fair. The perfect place for the whole family. October 9th, 10th, and 11th at the IX Center. Presented by Children's Mylanta, Baby Depot, JCPenney's, Target, and Dollar Bank.
Dining at Cello's is a pleasure you'll want to experience again and again. A creative Italian cuisine is our specialty at Cello's, drawing only on fresh produce, seafood, and grains. Our chefs prepare a sumptuous array of unique gourmet fare. Join us weekdays for Cello's luncheon specials from $4.95 to $6.95. Cello's also offers full catering and banquet rooms for your holiday parties. A lunch or dinner at Cello's will be unforgettable. Cello's Trattoria, 6504 Detroit Avenue in Cleveland, just 5 minutes from downtown.
You know, cutting a full sheet of plywood with a circular saw can be a little bit awkward. Let me show you a way to do it easily and safely. Start by spacing 2 sawhorses about 6 feet apart. Next, take a couple of pieces of scrap lumber. 1x3s or 1x4s work really well. Lay them across the sawhorses, and if you like, just tack them in place temporarily. Next, tack a scrap of wood about in the center of the sawhorse. Next, pull the plywood up on the sawhorses and align the cut line over the block. Set the circular saw to cut just about 1/4 inch below the bottom edge of the wood. Now, the plywood is supported on both outside edges as well as on both sides of the cut. Now, what's going to happen is that blade's going to cut through this scrap block of wood that we tacked on here, but only by 1/4 inch. With safety glasses on, we can now start our cut. Using this method, the wood remains stable, and we've reduced the possibility of binding the blade. Well, thanks for watching. Now it's your turn to roll up your sleeves, get out there, and tackle some of those jobs that you may have been putting off. And please join me next time, when, as always, I'll have lots of tips and suggestions to make your next home improvement job just a little bit easier. See you then.